Joining us now, the ranking member of the House Intelligence Committee, Congressman Devin Nunes, and the Freedom Caucus Chairman, Mark Meadows. I got to say this about Mark, Jim Jordan, Devin Nunes. We'll add Doug Collins to the mix, and maybe Matt Gaetz, the freshman. He's overly ambitious, but a good guy, and he's really done a great job. Without you guys behind the scenes, because we've now seen these closed-door testimony. Without your efforts, we would not be here, and this would have been gotten away with. And Congressman Nunes, a special applause to you tonight for that speech, which I think probably you're right up there with Lindsey Graham's speech on the day of the Kavanaugh hearings.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Sean. And what was amazing to me that I think a lot of people didn't pay attention to is there were two retired FBI agents on the stand there on the witness table, along with Andy McCarthy, who appears a lot on your show and others. What I was amazed at is the lack of concern by these former FBI agents, one of whom Peter Strzok used to work for. And look, they served their country, and I'm sure they did a great job. But when I brought up the fact that we probably shouldn't be using counterintelligence capabilities in this country to target a political campaign, they just sat there. It was almost like they had been coached by the Democrats to not say anything bad about the counterintelligence investigation that occurred. And I'll tell you, if that's the attitude, I know we always say, oh, this happened at the very top of the FBI. But I will tell you, if that attitude permeated throughout the counterintelligence capabilities, and if retired FBI agents think it's okay to use counterintelligence against political campaigns, I think we've gone a long way in this country, because it used to be the Democrats who didn't support the counterintelligence capabilities because they thought that they were spying on their campaigns and on political enemies. It ends up, in fact, they took them over, they corrupted the whole thing, and it seems like that's the attitude throughout the FBI, at least for the former and most of the former officials.
Really, it was a powerful, moving speech you gave today. And I will say this, and I mean this is the biggest compliment to Congressman Meadows, and I want everybody to understand, as the chairman of the Freedom Caucus, what you and Jim Jordan in particular did behind closed doors. Now that we're getting those transcripts, you are asking the right questions, the hardest questions, informed questions, and forward-thinking questions, knowing what the truth would eventually be and come out as. Your reaction to all of these events?
Well, thank you, Sean. I can tell you Devin Nunes has done an unbelievable job. And actually, we've had two different camps. He's seen much of the classified. Jim Jordan and I have not. And so we've been able to work together in a way that honestly is about transparency for the American people. Here's the thing that dawned on me today. You had another Mueller hearing here in Hipsey, an open hearing. Why was it open? Because they want to try to resurrect the whole Mueller narrative and try to do their best to make sure that the American people are engaged. But the truth of the matter is they didn't get the result they wanted. There was the old Adam, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Well, they've tried again, and they'll continue to try. But the problem is they know the truth. Even some of the witnesses today here on Capitol Hill, they're supposed to be experts. They hadn't even read the Steele dossier. That's how not credible that was.
That's pretty amazing, too. So how are we to interpret this New York Times news tonight? Do both of you believe, as I think I'm reading and interpreting, I always ask both of you one question because neither one of you would leak to me the way I wanted you to. I would ask you one question. You're laughing. What's the question? Am I over the target? Am I over the target in thinking countries like Italy, allied countries, and Great Britain and Australia maybe were outsourced intelligence gathering by our intelligence people to circumvent American laws, Devin Nunes?
So I think what we don't know yet is we don't know who Joseph Mifsud was working for. He's been described as a Western intelligence asset. He was in Italy, so that for sure brings up he could be a part of the Italian government of some kind, an asset there. He could be a British asset because he also lived in London. But there's also, it could be possible, quite frankly, that he was working for Fusion GPS or an operation like Fusion GPS through Christopher Steele. And what we still don't know at the heart of this is where did the Clinton campaign dirty operation that was run by Fusion GPS and the FBI, they were on parallel tracks. When did those merge? And that's really what I think myself and Mark Meadows have been trying to figure out for a long time. And hopefully that's what the U.S. Attorney out of Connecticut is going to get to the bottom of. We have a right to know what countries were involved in this.
Well, and Sean, we're getting,
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, Sean, we're getting a lot of whistleblowers. Primarily, the whistleblowers are coming forward because they believe Attorney General Bill Barr and John Durham are willing to get to the bottom of it. So people that perhaps were afraid under previous leadership to actually say, well, we knew this was wrong, they're coming forward now. And when we look at intelligence, we know that the intelligence community shares a lot of information. What we also know, what Devin Nunes knows, Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, and others that have been involved, is that the Steele dossier, Christopher Steele, his dossier, not only does it have its origins with Fusion GPS and the Democrat National Committee, but other players that are connected, Sidney Blumenthal, and they were shopping it to every media outlet that they possibly could, and the FBI knew it. That's the problem. The FBI knew it prior to that first FISA, and here they are using it as credible information for a FISA application. I just think that that's totally wrong.
Let me ask you both the same exit question. Most people are asking me, when are they going to be held accountable? What do you see in the future, Devin Nunes? And, you know a lot more than I do. Where do you see this going, and who would you not want to be tonight in terms of putting your head down on a pillow for a peaceful night's sleep?
Well, look, if you're any of the former people at the FBI that were in those famous text messages that Mark did such a good job of getting to the bottom of, those people, I think, all have to be concerned. If you look at any of the dirty operations arms of the Clinton campaign, and there's a lot of people that were both at the DOJ involved in that, spouses of people at the DOJ that were involved, because ultimately that Steele dossier permeated down all the way through, ultimately to the special counsel. And I'll disclose with this tonight. That is that I was finally able to see the scope memo. And remember, I had these concerns that it was based upon the Steele dossier. And look, I can't talk about what was in there, but we know from the Mueller report, or from what Judge Sullivan put out, we know that it was probably largely based on the Steele dossier. And
I think the Grassley-Graham memo and the Nunes memo said something to the effect the bulk of the information came from that. Last word, Mark.
Listen, people need to go to jail. People need to be accountable, and I believe indictments are on their way.
All right, I want to thank you both. In all honesty, these two guys, we wouldn't be where we are today, getting to the truth, equal justice, constitutional republic. They did the right thing for their country. Thank you.